Hello, my friends, and welcome to a lesson on advancing your animal research using our outline. I'm sure you remember this outline. It's pretty simple and basic, and maybe you did it as a first year, maybe as a second year. Maybe you're looking to just push forward past this, and this was pretty simple. What does it look like? Well, we can easily answer that. Or where does it live? But as you've worked with this, you've probably added more and more sentences and more details, and now you're looking at how to extend your research even further. So let's switch over to this outline. This outline is writing an animal report using paragraphs. It can be pretty exciting. It talks about paragraphs, and the thing to remember at the top is that a paragraph is a group of sentences that are about one topic. It can be about any topic, and most paragraphs are between 5 and 8 sentences long, with a minimum of 3. Now, this was a really good introduction to topical paragraphs because we split things by question and by topic. But here, we're going to go into more detail, and there's lots of suggestions on this outline. I've got an article here, so let's do a little bit of this together, and then I'll get you on your way. The article that I've brought today is about the bald eagle. It is a beautiful bird, and I've been definitely lucky enough to see real ones both at zoos and in the wild, but I just don't know as much about them as I'd like. So I grabbed this article. You're welcome to use a book or anything else, but I do recommend, if you can, to make a copy of the article so that you can do some of the other things we're going to talk about. You may also need a piece of lined paper. That's going to be very important. So let's look at this outline real quick and talk about the kinds of paragraphs that are suggested. It says in paragraph 1 that first topic could be about facts related to the animal's body, such as height, weight, length, wingspan, lifespan. This is very much like the original outline where the first question was, what does it look like? But it's going into a little bit more detail and giving suggestions like, what is the animal's scientific name? Oh, remember, it's not just blue, it's covered in feathers too. Or what kind of tracks does it have? Is there a difference between males and females? So we're going to want to look for things like that while we're reading. Paragraph 2 could be about its distribution, and that's not only where it lives in the world, but the kind of habitat it lives in too. You could also talk about what it eats, how it hunts, and how it catches its prey. And the third paragraph would be about reproduction. We want to know how the animal makes more of itself. And exactly how that's done can be very different from animal to animal. Now, your paper doesn't only have to be 3 paragraphs. There's other suggestions for paragraph topics like adaptations, other related species, and I'm sure you can find some fascinating facts as well. There's a couple ways we can go about moving from here. Definitely read your article first because you'll start to pick up some of these answers. And something you can do while you're reading that is take notes. But the best way to start that is to create yourself an outline based off of what you're going to be looking for. So on your lined piece of paper, why not write the word description to help give a place to put all of your notes that have to do with its physical description. And leave yourself room because you're going to want to look for all of these things in the article as you read. You may even use an entire front of a piece of paper. But to make this super easy and simple in this lesson, I'm not going to give myself that much space this time. The one other thing you're probably going to want to do is write the name of your animal at the top so that you can remember, oh yeah, of course your name is a great thing to put there because if you lose it, someone can hand it back to you. Okay, so the description, and remember the second thing we're looking about is its distribution and where it is in the wild, but also the kinds of things it eats. I'm going to create another area for notes on distribution. I'm also going to add habitat to that. And I'm probably going to make a section about feeding and how it eats. You're welcome to title these differently, but these titles will really just be a guide. Okay, and reproduction. So I want to definitely learn about that as I read my article. And then, I wonder if I'll find any fascinating facts. I might as well create a section for anything fascinating that I come across while I'm reading my article. Now, I might have already read the whole thing, and I might know it pretty well, but now I can go back through, and since I've read it once, all of those facts are going to come through much easier. So I can start by reading the bald eagle, Latin name Ooh, actually, that's something fascinating right there. I now know its scientific name, but I could write that in fascinating facts. It even made mention of that in facts related to what it looks like. So for a description, I might write, and there's two ways to do this. If it's easy for you to write a quick note and change that to a sentence, that's fantastic. But some of us are still in the process of learning how to do that, so it might be the best to write that sentence right here, right now, so you can use it for your paragraph later. So, the scientific name is Haliaeetus lusocephalus. Cool. Now I'm going to look for more things about this. It says it is the national bird of the United States of America. That's a pretty cool fact. I knew that, but someone else reading my paper might not know that. The other thing I just did is I did a bullet point on my paper. I made a small dot so that I know that this is the start of something new. If I fill up this paper with a lot of sentences, it might be hard to tell one from the next. It is the national bird of the U.S. Fantastic. And again, I know that, but my readers might not. The bald eagle is a kind of sea eagle. That's pretty cool. I might even take that and put that in here too. It can be found in most of Canada, all of the United States, and the northern part of Mexico. That sounds like distribution, so I can easily snag that too. It can be found in Canada, and I don't have to copy down the sentence exactly as it says. I don't necessarily have to say it can be found in most of Canada, the northern part of Mexico, and the United States. If I want to be specific, and that can be fantastic, I can write that. Otherwise, I could just say it can be found in Canada, the US, and Mexico. And look at that, I did end up going to a second line. A bullet point would be very appropriate there to help with organization. Now this is one way you can go through, and I found so much just in a couple of sentences, so I definitely didn't have enough space here. There's something else you can do. If you don't necessarily have this ready to go, you want to take care of this in your first reading potentially, you can bring in a highlighter or colored pencil to start highlighting the information you feel you will need. Now, a warning with highlighters. If you highlight everything, it's going to be hard to pick out that information. If there's information related to different topics and you wanted to color code, that might be something too. Make sure to put some kind of a color next to the section that you're going to be taking notes for in that color. And then you can easily go back to your paper. The bald eagle is a bird of prey that lives in North America. Ooh, that's distribution. I should have gotten that in there. It is the national bird of the United States of America. Well, I definitely want to highlight that first bit because that was really important. It's the national bird of the United States of America, most definitely. Bald eagle is a kind of sea eagle. Maybe I skipped that, but it can be found in Canada, The United States and the northern part of Mexico is important. It lives near big areas of water where there are trees to nest in. And wow, this thing is just bursting with information. And the best part about an article like this, it has it split up with some of the topics you are going to be looking for. But not every article or book is going to be laid out like this. There will be times when you will have to read and search a little bit more. And on that topic, have as much information as you can. This article is pretty comprehensive, but I might find the same information in 4 or 5 other books. And some of those books may talk about its description more in depth, and some of those books may discuss it more in depth of how it eats. Every book can be a little bit different. Once you have finished thoroughly exploring your articles and books and grabbing the information you need and bringing it over to your collection sheet, then you're ready to start writing your paper. If you've been writing in complete sentences, you can take many of these sentences and copy them over to your paper. Some things may need to be changed. You might not start a paper with, the scientific name is Haliaeetus leucocephalus. You might say, the bald eagle's scientific name is Haliaeetus leucocephalus. Let's make sure we're using our nouns before our pronouns so we know which animal we're referring to. After that, it's a matter of putting in each sentence right where it needs to be and making sure it fits together and sounds good when you read it. So definitely checking through your sentences for grammar, for spelling, for all of those beautiful things. I can't wait to see what beautiful animals you decide to explore and the beautiful papers you decide to write on them.